Hey listeners, welcome back to MCRE. I'm your host, Dory.
And I'm your co-host, Torsha.
Today, we have another segment on beauty standards. Let's first look at how and about what measures beauty standards are often perceived in our society from many generations to now. And we will see that this is defined in terms of hairstyles, skin color, and body size within aerobic white standards, which excludes blacks and other racialized people. There was a kind of rebel or racial change that happened before my co-host and I were born in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, with the rise of Black Power movement and the slogan of Black and Proud, wearing national Afrogenic hairstyles of afros. La Rose, an actor, an educator, and accomplished dancer, thank you for being on this show with us. La Rose, can you please tell us a bit more about yourself?
Okay. First of all, I'm really happy to be here amongst youth. And I'm just going to make the correction. It's La Roseline.
Oh, sorry.
And so me, I started as an educator. I was a classroom teacher for years. And in 2019, while I was moving, I ended up having a car accident while moving my truck. And I lost everything on Highway 20. And I was in 2019, and I was trying to get better. And as soon as I was getting better, COVID, the pandemic hit. So like a lot of people, I did a 360-degree U-turn. I stayed in Montreal, but I did a U-turn in my life. And I went to a project manager and an artist. So this is where I am right now. La Roseline is the artist.
Thank you, La Roseline, for saying that. So when you hear the term of beauty standards, what comes to your mind?
When I heard beauty standards, I see Europeans or Western, because the beauty standards from one place to another place is very subjective, and depending where you live. However, often when we refer to beauty standards, we're talking about the beauty standards from the dominant class, which is the Eurocentric and westernized beauty standards. And I find myself not fitting into that framework.
That's true.
When you think of Black women in dance, certain image comes to mind. Likewise, when we think of flamenco dancers, certain image comes to mind. What has your experience been like as a Black woman who danced flamenco?
Flamenco? I would say two different reactions from the West side versus the Gitano, because flamenco is a dance of a Gitano that has been, I would say, culturally appropriated by the Castilian, the Spaniard, and also the Western world. So the beauty standards in flamenco from a Western point of view is very related to classical ballet, very thin, with not a lot of muscles. And me, I tend to, when I work out, when I dance, I tend to have muscles. And there's this image of women, we have to be frail and fragile and to be beautiful. And I remember when I used to take ballet classes at the National School of Ballet in Toronto, one teacher made a comment telling me why you always have to look so masculine. And that crushed me. That really, really crushed me. As an educator, I was teaching my students, you're beautiful, regardless what people say. But when it came to me as an artist, as a dancer in dance studio, I felt pretty much like students. And I wish I had a teacher or a mentor to show me, this is what you see, but there's different beauty. And when I went to Spain, in south of Spain, this is where I find my confidence, because the gypsy, the Gitanos were telling me that my soul, the way I was dancing, was like a Gitano, and I was really, really flamenco and beautiful. So I got like antinomic discourse. Like from the Western, I wasn't, thin and linear enough. And then when I went to Southern Spain, I was like kind of what they expect. So.
Thank you. That's really amazing to know. So in an earlier episode of the podcast, we discussed mental health issues and how this connects with factors such as race and gender. We know how pervasive marketing, social media, and advertisement of diet and beauty products could be harmful for the young woman's self-esteem. And it's no surprise that 70% of the adolescents, girls, teens have body dissatisfaction, which sometimes lead to eating disorder, depression, and anxiety, and other mental health issues. So do you have any thoughts as to how beauty standards may impact to someone's life or mental health and impact to the social space of being hired for a particular job or promotion?
I would say in dance studios, most of the time the image that you see is the image of your teachers or friends that she danced with. And you often see people who are slim, who don't have a lot of definition or curves. And it does affect your mental health because you kind of feel awkward. You feel, okay, I have a friend who was like way more curvaceous than I am. And she said, I went into singing because I knew I would never get hired as a dancer in flamenco. So this is the effect that I see. So if it does that to an adult person, what does it do to students? And I think teachers, they have the duty, the responsibility to be inclusive in their talking about, encouraging other people and telling them, there's an influence of African influence in flamenco, there's African influence in many dances or Indian influences in flamenco or any other dances to show them, you part of this family of dancers.
Thank you. Media has always been outsized impacted on trends and other socialized experiences. What can social media institute such schools, places of work do to more inclusive to people of different colors, shapes, and sizes?
And that's a very good question. And I think it would go to a broader conversation.
Yeah.
As an educator, the books don't really reflect, the history books don't really reflect the contributions of minorities in the Canadian history. I always went out of my way to talk about Black History Month, Lunar New Year, Diwali. In fact, right now, I'm working on a project called Flamenco Alrededor, which is like flamenco around the world. And I want to have like flamenco Diwali, flamenco Mille Nuit, like Arabic, flamenco. There's one that is herencia curvas. That means like DNA, your genetics curves to be exposed not only in Montreal but outside of the big cities. So people have a vision, access to arts, but access to arts with dancers from different bodies, from different races. So that's one of the projects I'm doing as an educator. I always try to be inclusive because there's nothing worse than to realize that, you could have done better and save the life of a person who feels like he or she they don't fit in the framework.
Already existed in history were not affirmed as desirable because these were the features associated with being Black, South Asian, Latino, Arab, who are racialized people. But now when the white society adapted it through plastic surgery feature or many more medications, such as full lips and plum butts suddenly seemed valued, esteemed, and the cool beauty things to have. Can you comment on that?
Thank you for this question. It is true that years ago, when I was young, having big lips, curvy hips, were not desirable, and now it becomes desirable. But what I see, it becomes desirable mostly when Western they have it through plastic surgery. We see people like Kim Kardashian and all others trying to imitate what we have. So in a way, I find almost if it's cultural appropriation of our own body. For years, we've been told this is not nice. And now they would take those people as beauty standard. But those people weren't born naturally like this. Kim Kardashian wasn't born naturally like this. And it can be frustrating to see that. But at the same time, you have to remind it where you come from. And you have to remind it, your natural beauty and not to fall for anything that is, plastic surgery that makes you try to reach a center standards when you already have beautiful features naturally.
Thank you. I have a question for you. Would you if someone is struggling with their body image and they feel like plastic surgery is the only thing, what would you say to that person?
As an educator or as a friend?
As a friend, educator, or...
I don't think I have any friends who wanted to have plastic surgeries. I was brought whatever you have, you make the best of it, and there's always a way to make it shine. But as an educator, I've seen many students starting to have fake lashes. And one of the things that I said that I've never met a partner who said, I am not going to date you because your lashes are not long enough. So why are you spending your money on something that is not so important? You can use mascara, but now it's getting so crazy. You can perch, a bird can perch on your lashes, and it's so much money. So it's all about teaching priority and your education. But in my friend circles, nobody had plastic surgery.
Okay, thank you very much. And thanks to Dory for mentioning that question. It was really important. We need to remember that media manipulates. It shows different things that the celebrity is doing this, and many people are following the steps of that celebrity. And that can be, for young people, it can be a lifeline and sadly drives to unrealistic body image message. They're not happy with their own. We need to strike a balance between being active on social media and engaging with content that promotes body positivity and mental and emotional health. We need to start detaching your self-worth from your looks and reject societal message that dictate how you perceive the beauty, self-worth from your looks and appearance, and we can begin our journey to finding the true freedom and a peaceful home within our bodies.
Agree.
Unlearning toxic beauty ideals is not easy, but it is as well as worthy the effort. Let's remember that we are perfect and whole in our world that constantly tries to convince us otherwise. Empowering yourself to protect your long-term well-being. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Roseline for your time and insight. It was great having you on the show.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you. And stay tuned for another segment on beauty standards. Please like, share, and comment, and subscribe. I'm your host, Dory.
And I'm your co-host, Torsha.
Thank you for listening, and remember, making a change requires everyone.